everyone. I am Shauna B, founder of No Validation Needed and Single Girl Be Whole. I hope all is well. I know that it has been a while since I've posted my vlogs or even written a blog, and I definitely want to be consistent and get that back up and running. I wanted to do an introduction video introducing my new purpose project, what I call it, Single Girl Be Whole. But before I jump into that, I wanted to introduce myself to those who are not familiar with me, because we do have some people who probably are a little familiar with me from No Validation Needed, from following my page on Instagram, Twitter, my blog page. But then some of you this is your first time hearing about me for Single Girl Be Whole. So I am Shauna B, and I will be posting a separate introduction video about myself, just so you could get to know just a little bit about me and get a feel of my personality. So I'll post that a little later. But for right now, I just wanted to post about my purpose of Single Girl Be Whole. Okay, because I feel like it's a very important subject. You have plenty of pages, plenty of blogs, plenty of books about singleness and relationships, and I get that. Pretty much everything, especially if they're messages of inspiration, hope, self-reflection, all of it is basically going to sound just about the same. I would hope that you wouldn't listen to a single expert or a relationship expert that would say, don't love yourself. You need to have a man to love you, and you need to be dependent on that person's, affection and that person's validation of who you are. Like, you're not really going to get, those type of messages from anybody that want to produce and to really put out good quality content. So a lot of the stuff that you hear from Single Girl Be Whole, of course, you're going to hear it from like different pages as well. But I feel like the unique aspect of Single Girl Be Whole for me is the fact that, my story, I sometimes feel like is so like different from everybody else's. And I'm like, well, if I'm going through this and if I've been through this, I'm pretty sure that there's other people, other women who can relate. And so the purpose of Single Girl Be Whole is for the women who are just like me. I consider myself a late bloomer. I'm actually working on a book titled The Late Bloomer. I consider myself the late bloomer because I was never the girl, I was never the woman, I was never the young girl who was in a relationship. Like, still to this day, like, I'm a full grown woman and I've never been in a real relationship. Like, I've never been in a relationship where the guy met my parents, he, met my friends, we all, became like a tight circle. Like, he knew my best friend number and, was able to contact her at any time. Or I've never had that type of relationship. So I've had situationships. I had 2 major situationships in my life. And even with those, like, although it wasn't a relationship, it still took me through some things emotionally and mentally that I could have avoided. And so for me, I had to get used to the fact and accept the fact that, yes, okay, I am an adult who's never been in a relationship. And at first, I feel like the enemy wanted me to feel ashamed by that. So I would try to, if anybody asked about like my relationship status, oh yeah, I'm dating. Yeah, I have an ex, which the situationship that I was in, I don't know if I could really call him an ex, but just the discussion that I feel like I had to have, because I didn't want to feel awkward when I tell people I've never been in a relationship. I've never been in a relationship. I've had like little play relationships, like in elementary, middle, and high school, but nothing serious. Like, and for me, a relationship is serious. A relationship is you've met my mom, you have a relationship with my siblings, um, a good portion of my siblings are in New Jersey. So even then, you are willing to take a trip with me to meet my siblings in Jersey. You're going to have a relationship with my brother here in South Carolina as well. Um, and you know my family. We're all family. I know your family. I know your church family. We are really intertwined, and so I've never had that. It's always been phone conversations. We go on dates every now and then. We get into arguments. You leave, you pop up out of my life, then you pop back in, and because I still have feelings for you, I give you a hard time at first, but I know that I'm going to give into it, and then we're back together again. But it's never been a relationship. I've put myself through unnecessary mental turmoil trying to fit in with society, trying to fit in with the world and what the world says that I need to have going on in my life, as if what I have going on in my life now isn't enough. So Single Girl Be Whole is for the late bloomers like me, for those of us who watched other people flourish in relationships, those of us who are watching our friends and our family members get married before us, and those who have to deal with people saying, well, you could be married too, you just have to get out, and you need to start dating. And for me, that's automatically a problem for me, because a relationship has to be one of purpose, just like my marriage is going to be one of purpose. So I don't like wasting my time. I don't care if it's a free meal or free dinner or whatever. Like, if we're not in purpose, like I know my purpose for my future marriage. Like, it's clear as day to me. If I'm dating someone and I'm just like, well, what's your purpose? Or if I'm getting to know someone and I'm asking about what's their vision for their future marriage, and what do they feel like their purpose within their future marriage will be. And if they're just kind of like, I just want to have kids and have a wife and start a family, and as long as I'm taking care of them, then that's cool. And that would be a perfect response for a lot of women. Obviously, that's not a bad response. But for someone who's set apart, that isn't going to work for me. I cannot be with a man who just, as long as I'm paying the bills and you good and the kids good, then that's it. Because I know that God has created my future marriage to break generational curses. And there's purpose in our future kids. I'm thinking about generations. Like, I'm thinking about past this season. Like, because for me, singleness is a season. It's not something that I'm going to have to deal with for a lifetime. And I say deal with, but it's not anything for me to. Singleness, you don't deal with singleness. You just embrace it. You embrace it and you accept it for what it is, because it is such a beautiful season. Like, there's so much more to life than just chasing a relationship and feeling like you have to be with a man. I will never say that I don't need a man. I don't want to do life alone. But I don't have an age deadline for my marriage. And I don't have an age requirement for it. And people mean well, but they make people make jokes about, after a certain age, like, if you're in your 30s and you're single, then, you're just going to be the successful auntie who travels the world and, has a lot of money. And I'm just like, well, if that's what that person wants to do, then that's fine. But if a person is in their 30s or their late 30s or in their 40s and they're still single, that does not mean that that they're going to continue a life of singleness. Like, why do we have that deadline, that number? And it's because we listen to doctor's reports, high risk pregnancies, and then we look at other stories and statistics, and we pulling it from everywhere. We pulling things from everywhere, but except from God. We don't even have our own personal relationship with God and say, God, what do you have for my life? Like, who said that it has to be at a certain age or a certain point? And who says that you have to be the type of person to constantly date? Like, people are just like, well, you have to date to know what you like or what you don't like. To a certain extent, I think that that's true. It would help. But I don't have to date an abuser for me to realize I don't want to be in an abusive relationship. Like, I don't want to be with a man who curses at me. Like, that's a deal breaker for me. Like, if a man was to, curse at me or call me out of my name, it's an immediate deal breaker. I didn't have to be in that relationship to know that that's a deal breaker, And so, Single Girl Be Whole is for women like me, that you don't have to feel like something's wrong with you because you choose not to be in a relationship. And if we're honest with ourselves, it is a choice. Because the thing about it is, people put marriage on this pedestal, right? As if, only the elite could get to this pedestal of marriage. And if you're, if you're not a part of the elite, you will never, be able to speak the word husband and all this stuff. Really? Only the elites, only a special quality of women can get to a marriage. I know that's false, because I can give you some personal, I would never do that, but I can give you some personal stories of people, of women who are in miserable marriages and women who are stepping out on their husbands, but at least they have a ring. Like, I don't even have to give you personal stories of people that I know. Let's just look at the divorce rates and statistics. Like, as many marriages happen, look at how many divorces happen as well. So, I'm not trying to knock anybody who's married, but what I'm saying is, if you are married, I need you to be humble about being married, and not to look down on single women as if we want to be where you are. Like, yes, for myself, I do want to be married one day. That's not a secret. That's not anything that I'm ashamed of. But I don't look at people or the women who are married as if they have something just so much better about them than me. Like, yes, I can learn from you. Yes, I can, I want to learn from you. I want to hear about, the challenges and the stuff that you've been through. Like, there's definitely, that's not what I mean. Like, I definitely know that we could learn from each other. But we have to stop making marriage our idol. And we have to stop making married women our gods. Like, I feel like sometimes if a woman isn't married, I feel like sometimes their voice is kind of like null and void. Sis, how are you talking to me? And you don't even have a man that's willing to spend the rest of his life with you. Like, if you can't, because I think that's the way that we look at it, right? Like, if you can't even have a man who's willing to commit himself to you for the rest of his life, then that's obviously something wrong with you. But that's not true. We have so many marriages of men that literally hate their wives. They're literally tolerating their wives. They're literally married but stepping out on their wives. I have had married men hit on me. And so it's like, are we really looking at marriage as our idol? That's not what I want. That's not how I view it. Like, I don't view you as you won. I rejoice with you because marriage is beautiful. Marriage should be celebrated. I don't have anything negative to say or to think about marriage, especially when it is in God's timing and especially when it's right. You can't say, if I'm going to go ahead and get married now, because if I'm not married by a certain age, then, it's probably not going to happen. If I don't have a child by a certain age, then, it's probably not going to happen. So I need to make something happen. Because I would hate to start a marriage or a relationship on that statement as my foundation. And then 12 years later, we spent 12 years of our lives together just to find out, oh yeah, this is kind of like the wrong decision. Like, I really don't want to be with you. And I kind of knew that I really didn't want to be with you, but you was there. And so we kind of vibed well and blah, blah, blah. Like, no, marriage is about purpose. And you have to be willing to be more about purpose than you are about your pleasure or popularity. Like, this is bigger than you and I. Me and my future husband. Like, we have generations that we are affecting. So the way that we approach things has to be different. The way that we run our household has to be different. The way that we run our finances has to be different. The type of people that we choose to hang with has, all of that has to be different, because I'm not thinking about right now. This too shall pass. Like, this is a season that's going to pass, but while it's here, I'm definitely going to enjoy it because it's a beautiful season. Like, I've worked on my freaking credit score. I've switched careers. Y'all, I walked out of a job before having another job. I walked out of a job because I knew that this was a job, and I was working under a supervisor that was not going to work. It was not going to be a good working relationship. And I just think about stuff like that because I'm like, I can imagine if I was in a relationship and I was just like, I'm taking a step of faith and I am leaving this job. No, I don't have a definite job lined up yet, but God is going to work something out. Imagine how much harder that would be if I was in a relationship, right? Imagine how much harder it would be if I was in a relationship with the wrong person who doesn't have the mindset or the mentality of faith. Because think about it. I can't say for sure that I would want to be in a relationship with a man who just easily walks out of a job and just kind of like, yeah, God gonna hook me up with something a little bit later. I'm like, but I need you to be a stable provider. Like, I need to feel like a sense of security with you, that you are always going to put whomever you're in a relationship with or a marriage first. But see, when you're single, you get to do stuff like that. You get to do stuff. When you're single, you get to explore career options. Like, do I want to stay in South Carolina? No, you know what? I think I want to move to Virginia. And so you're able to just pack up your stuff, get the job, get things lined up, and go. But if you are in a relationship, you have to consider all types of different aspects. So I'm like, this is the time to do all of the stuff. All of the things. This is the time to do all of that. This is the time to, like I said, I've worked on my credit score. I'm a homeowner. I switched careers. I travel because I love to travel. So I travel. And even though I'm a homeowner, like, y'all, I'm not married to the idea of staying anywhere. Like, if I feel like God is saying, go to Savannah, guess where I'm going to go? Like, so it's like, I have the freedom to do that, and I have the freedom to create my schedule the way that I want to create it. I go to work, and sometimes after work, if I want to go to a networking meeting or event, I would do that. If I, go to Bible study, I'll do that. If I, want to go to the gym, I would do that. If I just want to go home and chill and not talk to anybody and just relax, I could do that. But in a relationship, you always have to consider the other person, even in the smallest details. And that's a beautiful aspect of being in a relationship that's going to lead to marriage, because it's called like dying to yourself. You're able to say, I always have to consider the other person. And it's good to get in the habit of that now while you're single, but you could get into that habit at your own pace, kind of. So I have like the best of both worlds. We hype up marriages because we hype up weddings. We know how our homegirl wedding looked, and we were just like, ooh, like, oh my gosh, like the feels. We have all the feels when we go to people's weddings, and we're just like, oh, I can't wait for my wedding. Listen, I'm a lover of weddings. I love weddings. Y'all, I already have my wedding colors picked out. I already know what kind of dress I want. I already know what kind of weave I want in my hair. Like, I already know what I want in terms of my wedding. And I mean, I love date nights, and I love vacations, and I love chilling at home just in like my hoodie and shorts on, and I'm wrapped up in, with my husband, with my significant other. Like, I love the idea of that. But it's so much more than that to a marriage. Like, we get so caught up. Like, I tend to romanticize everything sometimes, and I have to step back on that. Literally after the wedding and after you come back from the honeymoon, it's just you and your husband. It's just you and your husband. Like everybody else goes on with their lives. Like people, they'll still click on the pictures that you post, and the vlogs that you post, and the videos from your wedding and stuff, of course. But after that, people like going about their lives. Like they're just kind of like, oh, that was a nice wedding. Such and such looked beautiful. Oh my gosh, that food was off the chain. Blah blah blah. And then we go into our lives. You're the one that has to deal with that marriage from that point forward. So why are we rushing again? Oh, because it's an age thing. Because somehow it clicks. If you're 30 and you're single, oh, it automatically that means something's wrong. But there's people who's been married in their 20s, now in their 30s, divorced. So which one is right? Which one is wrong? The right way is when God says, okay, now it's your time. That's the only thing. And if that's 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, God would give you the peace, and God would give you the strength and the grace that you need to survive your single season. I would never want to rush to be married. Like if I was still in my 20s, I would never and I always said, like, listen, I always said in my 20s, I am not about to get married in my 20s. Like I knew I wasn't about that marriage life in my 20s. I always felt like it was going to be in my 30s for me. Since the beginning, like I just always felt like it was going to be, like, I think at one point in time when I was like a teenager, I said, oh, 25. Yeah, that seems like an age to get married. I just kind of threw it out there. It kind of just seemed like the right age or whatever. But literally, as soon as I hit 25, I just started my career, like a really awesome career. And I was just like, figuring, like finding myself now and seeing myself in a different light. I had so much more to learn. And I still have a lot more to learn. But I'm a lot wiser now. I'm a lot stronger now. I'm a lot more confident now. My 20s, I wasn't confident. Like, I'm a lot more confident now, and I'm able to carry myself confidently in the presence of a man who's pursuing me, even if there are other women who's pursuing him. Trying to get his attention. So it's a lot of growth that I had to get. It's a lot of wisdom that I had to, gain for myself. And that took years. So I understand about wanting to start a family and being careful about like the whole high risk pregnancy thing. Trust me, I understand that. But I serve a God who is able to do miraculous things. And so why am I limiting him as if I don't believe him? Why am I putting him like in this type of box where it's just like, well, Lord, if I don't have my first child by the age of 35, like, why am I telling him what he should know? God is all knowing. He is powerful. And if I say that I believe in him, I need to act like I believe in him. I need to behave as if I believe in him. And a lot of times I believe that we believe in God, but it's to like a certain extent, because think about it. There are plenty of people that believe in God, but their lives, like, horrible things has happened to them. And you're kind of like, oh my gosh, like, that person is a good person. Like, that person is a Christian. That person is a believer, unashamed believer. And she has all of this stuff happening to her. And they're like pretty horrible things that's happening in her life. Like, she's having people die in her life back to back. And, she never got a chance to walk down the aisle. She never blah, blah, blah. And so what we start doing, we start feeling fear. Like, ooh, well, God, you allowed that to happen to her. Like, what is this? We start getting like distracted and disturbed and afraid because we're just like, horrible things happen to good people. And sometimes good people don't always get the desires of their heart. Obviously, this person did the right thing, waited until she was married to have sex and did all of this stuff. And her husband like ended up cheating on her and breaking her heart and divorcing her and leaving her with nothing. Like, God, like, she did everything right. Like, so we say that we believe in God, but there's seeds that's planted in our spirit and in our minds from experiences that other people have gone through that also are believers in Christ that kind of make us feel like, I believe in God, but we kind of doing it with like a little bit of shaking and trembling. I get it. Like, I totally get it. But it's like, you either believe, you're either going to choose to believe, or you're not. And the thing that has helped me, when I see like horrible things happen to people who are believers in Christ and who I know are real believers in Christ, and they have like some pretty bad things happen back to back, I think about Jesus. And I think about him being crucified, and he's perfect and he's innocent, and I'm just like, well, I can't forget about that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't forget that Jesus is without any flaw and without any sin, and he was crucified. He was crucified. He didn't deserve that, and so to keep me from going off of the edge mentally, where I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, bad things happen to good people. Yeah, bad things happen to good people, but we have to understand that even in those times, and it's okay if you don't see it right then and there during that moment. Like, it's okay if you're feeling some type of way, but allow God in so that you can get back to purpose, to the front of your mind. Like, always thinking in purpose, always thinking, even if you don't know the purpose behind it right now, but you just have to have that trust where it's just like, God, I'm either going to believe you or I'm not. If this does not come to pass in my life, it's because, Lord, it hurts so bad. It hurts for me to even say this, but it's because you know ultimately what's best for me. So I'm just going to say, Lord, thy will be done. That's scary, right? Because you have no control over it. Everything that has happened in my life so far, every low moment that I have had in my life so far has not felt good while I was in the middle of it. But literally, like, it's almost like months or years, like a year or so later, when I look back and I'm just like, that actually worked out pretty fine. Like, that timing was perfect. Like, that season that I was in, I'm glad that I went through that when I went through it, because I see now how it prepared me for this moment. It's almost like it never fails that I don't have one of those moments where I'm just like, oh, I'm glad that happened when it happened, because now I'm able to see this person exactly for who he is. I'm able to see this coworker for exactly who she is, and I'm able to kind of like adjust my behavior to the situation. I'm able to peep game. Like, I'm like, I see what's going on here. I'm prepared for it. Yeah, I had to go through some battles to get prepared for it, to get prepared for this moment. But, just outside of all of that, yeah, I have some battle scars or whatever to get to this moment. But guess what? I'm equipped. I'm fully equipped for this moment. So no, it doesn't feel good. Yes, bad things happen to good people and all of these things, but we have to trust even when we don't understand. We have to relinquish our control. And so that's the whole, purpose of Single Girl Be Whole as well. Like, Lord, I really would like to be married one day, and I'm really getting discouraged sometimes because, like, the guys that I have talked to or whatever, it's kind of led to a dead end. But most of the times I could have nipped it in the bud when I realized it was leading to a dead end. I just chose not to. So it's kind of like having that self-revelation and being honest with yourself and saying, okay, how can I do better? How can I prepare myself better? And how can I not worry about the future, but trust God with where I am right now? I want to be whole right now in this season. I want to be whole. I want to confront myself every single day in every single way for every wrong thought that I have, every heart issue that I have going on within me, every inconsistency, every lie, everything that's within me that I know that does not line up with the word of God, and I know that God is not pleased with. I'm going to confront myself daily because I strive to improve myself and to become the woman that God has called me to be and not for a man. It's not for the purpose so God could, hurry up and bless me with my husband. It's not even for him. It's because of me. It's because of my desire. And along the way, guess what? I'm prepared to be an amazing wife to a man that is deserving for all of this. I had to throw something in there. But yeah, this actually went a lot longer than I intended to. I kind of just wanted to keep videos like no more than like 20 minutes. Sorry. But yeah, I just wanted just to give a really nice, quick preview to Single Girl Behold. But there will be other videos along the way. The videos that you're going to see will be me kind of like out and about, pictures of me out and about, just enjoying my life, doing different things. But I'm also going to have guest segments where I'll be interviewing other single women. You will see me featuring them on their trips, their promotions, what they got going on. It's going to be all of that. So I hope that you all have enjoyed this. I enjoyed talking about it. I enjoy talking a lot. Can you tell? And I'm looking forward to sharing more with you all. I love you so much. Please follow my page at Single Girl Behold and at No Validation Needed. Follow both pages. I'm going to be doing some amazing things for both, especially with this upcoming year. All right. Love you all. Talk to you soon. Bye.